Hey guys, welcome back to the Missing Piece. And today we are previewing UFC 295, which is happening this weekend in New York City at the most famous arena in the world, Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, literally the mecca of sports is what they call it in that place.
Yeah,
Um, but no, it's gonna be an electric fight. Can't wait for it.
yeah, it's a very stacked main card, like in terms of the core main and the main, which we are going to preview right now. So let's get straight into it. So obviously all heard about the news with John Jones. He's injured his shoulder,
Shoulder,
yeah, his shoulder or
he's
one of the,
tore the tendon that I think holds the bone in place in the shoulder,
yeah,
the socket joint. That snapped right off. He got the surgery done. It was successful, but out for 8 months.
yeah.
Wow.
Dana says 8 months. So, and obviously Dana was like, yeah, no disrespect to Stipe, but obviously
Hmm.
is never going to fight for interim champion because he's known as the heavyweight GOAT. So it only makes sense for him to wait for John Jones when he comes back. So
Yeah,
speaking
let
of
him
that,
fight the best of the best.
yeah, speaking of that, uh, the co-main event now is for the interim heavyweight championship of the world between Sergei Pavlovich and Britain's own Tom Aspinall.
Yeah, I think this is a big fight, not just for the division, but I think for UFC because people say Pavlovich is probably one of the most, if not the most dangerous guy in UFC heavyweight right now.
Yeah, speaking of that as well, especially speaking
Hmm.
about dangerous opponents, Tom Aspinall believes that Sergei Pavlovich is the most dangerous fighter in the UFC.
Exactly. So I think this is going to be I think it's gonna be fireworks. I think they both prefer obviously striking, but we haven't really seen much of Tom Aspinall's ground game, and I know he's got something in the locker. Um, Same with Pavlovich. I think it's just going to be an amazing fight to watch. But I think literally one of these two, the winner, 100% deserves to fight for the belt after the John Jones and Stipe bout.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. But the thing is, obviously, we don't know if Steve he is willing to wait for that long. I know, obviously, he knows, and well,
Mm.
everyone knows that he wants the John Jones
Hmm.
fight, but Stipe is getting a bit there or thereabout in terms of like retirement. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. But obviously, that's why they made this interim championship
Hmm.
happen. So in terms of both fighters, so for Tom
Hmm.
Aspinall, obviously he's number four ranked and he holds a record
Hmm.
of 13 wins and three losses.
Hmm.
Um, I think he recently did have surgery on one of his knees because um, he fought Curtis Blades in the O2
Hmm.
Arena last month, last year,
Yeah.
and I believe he injured his knee. So while kicking, and I think Curtis Blades I think it was like knee to knee more or less when Aspinall was kicking, and obviously Aspinall injured himself, so he had surgery. But after his surgery, he had a clinical victory over Marcin Tabura. So,
Hmm.
and that was literally a minute and a bit. Like I think, believe it was like a minute and 10 seconds. So we know Aspinall can finish fights very quickly. Same with
Hmm.
Pavlovich. He's number two ranked, and he has
Yeah.
18 wins and one loss. And he's also coming off a KO victory over Curtis Blades, and that was like 2 or 3 minutes as well. So we know that both fighters possess
Hmm.
knockout power and finishing fights very quickly. And I did recently see a stat. I don't know if you've seen it also. These two fighters that are fighting each other this weekend both hold the least average fight time in the UFC on the roster.
Yeah. And I didn't see that, but that's mad to be fair. And like we were saying, Sergey, his last loss was in 2018, and his only loss was to Alistair Overeem, I think.
Yeah,
Um, but so he's been on a dominant streak, and literally the times that he's been winning in is like 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, another minute here and there. Like you can't break down any of his game because he's won in such a quick amount of
yeah.
time.
Like you don't know what his
You,
all round game is. Whereas Aspinall,
mm,
you've seen him. He can submit Volkov. He can knock out
hmm.
Tybura, and obviously he has
Hmm.
that. 2 minutes or something average fight time, and Pavlovich just holds the second least average
Hmm.
fight time. So it's it's the battle of the two fighters that hold the least average fight time. So let's see if this fight will end up as a finish.
I don't know. I think they're both gonna try and feel each other out because I think they both respect each other enough.
Yeah, speaking of that, I think yeah, earlier during fight week they were hugely respectful of each other. So let's see what they will do
Mm,
in the octagon. But in terms of
yeah.
keys to victory for each fighter, I think Aspinall just needs to um, uh, like literally just what do you call it? Like apply the pressure like he always does.
Mm,
Obviously he's got that boxing stance. He's got that long range stance. Obviously he's heavyweights. He always possess knockout power, especially these two.
hmm.
Um, but Pavlovich is a very big guy for the division. Like in terms of his frame, not in terms of weight, but in terms of his frame, he's got broad shoulders and stuff. So
Yeah. Like he's very stocky.
yeah, and I think obviously Aspinall does hold good background in jiu-jitsu. So,
Hmm.
and obviously Pavlovich, being Russian, he has that wrestling background. So if it does end up on the ground, both fighters could outweigh each other. That they could just counteract each other. So let's see what happens there.
Definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, I think predictions wise, I think we both should as people from the UK and stuff. And obviously I've seen Tom Aspinall fight live. Unfortunately, that was his injury against Blades. But Aspinall, I think Aspinall should win this. I wouldn't say he will wipe the floor against Pavlovich, but I think
Mm.
he potentially gets the finish in round two or round three.
I don't think he'll get the finish in round two. I think he'll probably get the finish in round three when they're a bit tired.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think they're both too good to be finished maybe in the second round. But I can also see it going the other way in the third round, so got to
yeah.
be very
It's going to
careful on it.
be round two or round three. That's what I would say. Tom Aspinall might finish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the interim heavyweight bout, which is a core main event for UFC
Hmm.
295. But now the main event, which was originally the core main event for the card, um, it's between former champions Alex Pereira, who is a former middleweight champion, and Jiri
Hmm.
Prochazka, who's coming off I wouldn't say a long hiatus, but he had a very bad injury in his last fight. So he had like a year and a half off, but now he's back, and he used to be the champion in the UFC light heavyweight division, and now he gets his opportunity to become a two-time UFC light heavyweight champion.
Yeah, I think he. I wouldn't say hiatus. I think he was injured for a long amount of time, and then decided to give himself as much rest as he physically could in it before
Speaking of his injury,
coming back.
I think Dana did say that the Yuri's injury was he's one of the worst injuries that he's ever seen.
Mm.
Yeah, so yeah, let's see how he can do against arguably the best kickboxer on this planet.
Yeah, no, we'll see. One of there's other injuries I think that have been worse. I can't lie, I can't remember properly, but I think this one's up there.
Yeah,
Um, but no, it definitely is a hard one. But at least he's back now. And just to say that he actually never lost his belt.
yeah,
He gave it up
yeah.
just for
That
those people thinking that
yeah
he
that
lost and then
that shows some
you know.
respect as well. Especially obviously,
Mm,
speed that in terms of respect, that division recently has been shown with the fighters who've had the championship title have shown a lot of respect. First with Jiri,
hmm.
he was like, "Oh yeah, I've had this bad injury. I don't want the division to be keep waiting on me." So he
Mm,
vacated it. Um,
hmm.
and then obviously Jamal Hill got the belt, but now obviously he got injured
Hmm.
when he won the title, and he was like, "Yeah, I think I'm going to be injured for quite a long time. Yeah, so let me vacate it." So yeah,
Yeah,
this is why Alex Pereira and Yuri are fighting for the vacant light heavyweight championship.
yeah, and I think this is gonna be just an absolute monster of a fight.
Yeah, I would say this fight here is one of the closest fights to call.
Hmm. I think because they're so similar in terms of they like the pressure. They like being the one applying the pressure. They can fight off their back. They're sometimes awkward to deal with. They're not necessarily always shooting for the takedown, but they can take down if needed. It's just so weird.
Yeah, I think one of the main differences between these two fighters is probably just Yuri's awkwardness. Like we've seen when he started doing his weird hand defenses and his sensational but very awkward knockout against Reyes when he done the spinning elbow off the cage. But yeah, Yuri's awkwardness will potentially cause Alex some problems because obviously Alex likes being in your face, standing upright, and that leg kick that he was obviously doing a lot against Adesanya, like there's no tell on that, you can't read it. So let's see if Yuri can negate that weapon because that's probably one of the best leg kicks in the game from Alex Pereira.
Yeah, we'll see what he does. He might be smart. He might end up trying to attack that leg himself first.
Yeah, yeah. But this is, obviously both have some height on both fighters. So,
Hmm.
but Alex looks very, very huge, especially when obviously he was originally a middleweight and he looked big against Adesanya, but at light heavyweight he looks even bigger. So um,
Hmm.
it's just a battle of, I think, kickboxing versus just general awkwardness fighting style.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, but yeah,
But no, I think it's going to be an interesting. Could be probably one of the, if not the best fight of the year,
yeah. If
in my
if
opinion.
I think as it's very close to call and predict, it could easily be one of the best fights of the year. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think predictions wise is very tough. So I know I'm on the fence here, but I don't think I'll give a prediction. It's very, very.
I think I
If
could give a prediction because why not? Alex Pereira to win and become a two division champ and join a very elite squad of people.
yeah, I don't know.
Only because he's been the more active fighter.
Yes, but yeah, his activity recently has been
Yeah,
very, very, very high,
yeah,
and
yeah.
obviously he has a
So
storyline with obviously he trains with Glover Teixeira, and obviously Jiri beat Glover. So
yeah,
let's see if Alex can redeem Glover's belt for him against the opponent that he lost it from. So yeah,
yeah.
but yeah, that's the main event uh, covered. But let's just speak about obviously New York and Madison Square Garden. It's the only
Hmm.
um, UFC. It's only it's only it's what do you call it? Like so the UFC only go. Obviously, they go to Brooklyn, which is also in New York, but they only go to New York City, which is in New York, specifically MSG, once per year. And
Hmm.
this year, especially, obviously, it marks the 30-year anniversary for the UFC. So it's an even bigger card.
Yeah, I think that obviously that's why John Jones was going to fight, but the I think it's I think it's because it's such a rare place to fight, and if you do it so constantly, it just defeats the purpose of it being special.
Yeah, yeah, it
So
defeats the purpose of like the nostalgia because MSG,
yeah.
obviously, the basketball is there, as you know. Um,
Hmm.
but in terms of like combat sports events, it's very rare to
Hmm.
have it there like consistently. Um,
Yeah.
so one-off events, especially UFC going
Hmm.
there once per year, always marks it to
Yeah.
be a great occasion.
Exactly. So making a one-time thing is just even better.
Yeah, but yeah, speaking of the occasion, Alex Pereira had his debut on MSG, so let's see if he can become the king of MSG.
Yeah. Let's see if it would be like him going back to his roots again from the beginning.
Yeah, yeah.
But no.
All right.
Yeah, it should be a good fight.
Yeah, so yeah, that's UFC 295, the co-main event and main event previewed, and
Hmm.
we'll hope you guys enjoy the fights. So,
I know
um,
we will.
yeah, we will 100% will, and be prepared for a review video early next week after the fights happen. So, stay tuned.
Hmm. See you guys.
All right, see you guys.